All right, if you've spent any time at all in the SAP world, you have definitely seen this happen. You set up a rule, it works perfectly in one place, and then it just completely fails somewhere else. It's so frustrating. Well, today we're going to crack the classic case, MIGO versus its back-end cousin, the BAPI. So here's the puzzle, right? You go into your configuration, you make the GL account a required field for a certain goods movement. Perfect. Then you go into the MIGO transaction, you try to post without it, bam, you get a hard error. That's exactly what you wanted. But then an ABAP program calls the BAPI to do the exact same thing, and it just sails right through. It posts successfully. So what on earth is going on here? And yeah, you can see the problem right here. MIGO does its job and throws up a big red stop sign. The BAPI, on the other hand, just gives it a green light. And that can lead to some really nasty data problems down the road. Now here's the kicker. This isn't a bug. Nope, it's actually a fundamental SAP design principle. Let's break down why that is. Okay, to really get our heads around this, let's use a super simple analogy. I want you to think about the difference between ordering your food at a counter versus just using one of those self-service checkout kiosks. See, MIGO is like your counter service. You're talking to a person, right? It's interactive. So it's going to have all these detailed, specific checks to make sure your order is right. But the BAPI? That's the self-service checkout. It's all about speed, automation, processing a ton of orders at once. It's not designed for that one-on-one interaction. They are fundamentally built to follow two totally different sets of rules. And here's the tech behind that analogy. The settings you made for MIGO, what they call the enjoy settings, those only apply to that user-facing screen, the counter service. The BAPI, it doesn't even look there. It uses a completely separate configuration channel meant for batch inputs. So that rule you so carefully set up, to the BAPI, it's basically invisible. Okay, so if the screen configuration isn't going to work for the BAPI, what do? How do you actually enforce your business rule? Well, the key here is to completely shift your thinking. You got to move away from screen settings and start thinking about the core application logic. Now, the best way, the most robust solution, is to use an enhancement, something like a BAPI. Why? Because this injects your check directly into the core logic itself. That means it's going to apply to every process, no exceptions. But, a quicker, more direct fix is to just add that validation check right inside your own program just moments before you make the call to the BAPI. And take a look at this little ABAP snippet. This is exactly what that pre-check logic looks like. It's simple, but it's such a powerful safety net. It just says, hey, if we're doing this specific movement type and, whoops, the GL account field is empty, then stop. It raises an error and just stops the whole process dead in its tracks before the BAPI ever gets called. Look, if you remember just one thing from all of this, let it be this right here. Configuration often just applies to the UI, the screens people look at. But your real, universal business rules, the ones that absolutely have to be enforced every single time, they have to live in the core logic. So what's the big takeaway here? It's simple. Never, ever assume that a rule you see working on a screen is going to automatically apply to a back-end process like a BAPI. It's just not a safe assumption. If you want to guarantee your data is consistent and correct, you have to build your critical checks where it really counts, deep inside the core logic. And just like that, you've solved the case of the missing error.